Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome to the most welcoming place to talk about movies. If you find yourself just struggling to find anybody that'll sit down and listen to you talk about some of your favorite found footage horror movies, well, buddy, we have found each other in the exact same point and place in our lives. So yeah, let's talk some found footage here at ZakIsCinema. Today we are going to be reviewing and discussing the movie Hell House LLC, which came out in 2015. Years after a haunted house attraction ended in tragedy, a documentary crew investigates the mysterious events inside the Abaddon Hotel and uncovers chilling footage revealing what really happened. So as we jump into the review and discussion for Hell House LLC, we're obviously leading up to our new Hell House movie called Hell House Lineage, coming out at the end of August of this year, which I'm definitely very excited about. It's so interesting that after, 5 movies, they are now going into not found footage style of filmmaking. So we'll see how that kind of works out for them, but I'm interested in this movie. I'm interested in checking out the rest of these leading up to that one. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of cover this entire franchise. So let's jump into the review section, starting with the positives or just the things that I really enjoyed about this movie. So first, I really enjoy found footage horror when it's done right. And I feel like this movie is an example of doing it right, where I love found footage that set it up to be this almost real life documentary utilizing the real found footage, given the title of the genre, actually using that real footage and utilizing interviews, utilizing fake but real news channel clippings of the crime or the events taking place, which this movie is chocked full of. And I feel like when movies do that so well, it creates such an unsettling atmosphere in the movie. And I think movies that do it really well is like The Blair Witch Project, like Mungo, and in this case, this movie, Hell House. And I love just the real tone and real vibe this movie gives off, feeling that this event feels so grounded in this small community and small town that you could really see something like this really happening, and just a small local event that took place that really captivated a small community. And even though some of the dialogue isn't the best, some of the acting is kind of iffy at spots, it never really takes away from my full experience when I was watching this movie. And it's just so easy to look past when they really make this look like found footage and discovering all this lost footage that is now found. And you got this cool documentary style interview taking place throughout the movie, and you got one of the editors or somebody kind of looking through some of the lost footage that this interviewee came in with that's kind of spliced throughout. So I just love how it is structured as well. An important part of found footage, I feel like, is having a good enough reason why our characters are standing around and recording everything. I feel like for me, I'm pretty forgiving of it, because if you're doing found footage, then that's what you're doing. At least try to come up with a reason that I can kind of get behind, and then I can kind of look past all the times maybe they shouldn't be recording but still are. And I feel like this movie came up with a good enough reason where we're following this small company that puts on haunted house experiences, and they kind of document their preparation stages of these haunted houses for their website and for their fans. So it makes sense to just be constantly recording to kind of utilize that later. It's kind of bullshit that they film their personal conversations and fights between the group members sometimes. So it's easy to look past, though, at least for me here. And for me, I just really appreciated its inciting incident, or I guess its initial premise. I think it lends itself itself to just such a creepy haunted house feeling experience of a movie. It's very interesting following this small group of friends that have been putting on haunted house experiences around New York. They move away from the city and finally come across a property that is possessed, has demons, has a tragic lore and story that the characters don't know about previously before going on and putting this on. And some tragic, unexplained, scary thing happens on overnight, and we slowly start to discover what those events were leading up to it through all the lost found footage stuff. So I think it just lends itself to just an interesting movie and an interesting found footage experience. And I know people kind of throw around that term of a movie feeling like a haunted house as a negative, but as I use that term for this movie, I do mean it as a positive. Where, at least for me, haunted houses and haunted hayrides are so scary for me that I refuse to go in any haunted houses because they just feel too real. I mean, sometimes I push myself through it, but, I always push people in front of me. I'm one of those assholes, but they're just too real for me. Even haunted hayrides are kind of pushing it where it just feels too real. But for me, for this movie, it kind of gave me that similar experience of being in a haunted house or on a haunted hayride where everything's really well done and those experiences just feel too real, so they're even scarier than they really might be. And that's just how I felt watching the movie, where we're in a haunted house, and I think it utilizes the found footage very well, where it kind of puts you right in there with those characters. And at least for me, that's what I hope they don't kind of ruin or miss out on with our newest installment, since it's not found footage. Because I get it, if you don't like found footage, then I don't think this movie is going to change your mind on the genre. But I think for me, sometimes when found footage is done super well, it can create that unique, scary experience. In this movie, at least in the first half, we have this character of Paul, and he is filming a lot of the stuff in the Abaddon Hotel here, and he's such a fucking douchebag. He's such a piece of shit. But I think for Paul here, he has some of the creepiest and scariest scenes going on in the movie. Like, he has one where he's filming some updates for, I guess, the fans, but he's shirtless in his bed, which we'll kind of get into some of that stuff, but he's filming this, and then there's this creepy figure that kind of steps into his room, and you get this cool, like, dim red light going on in the hallway where all the characters seem like shadows, so you can't make out who the person is. And the first time something creepy happens, a character just kind of walks in, stares at him, and leaves, and he thinks it's Sarah, but we don't really know. So I think that scene was very well done. And I also love the lore and backstory and information we get on what happened in the Abaddon Hotel, and how Abaddon, in biblical terms, is a demon that guards the gates of hell, which is really creepy, and implying that the original hotel owner or person that was running the hotel was into some demonic cultist shit, and he ended up hanging himself in the main area of the hotel after a girl and her mom went missing, and the hotel was the last place they were at, so he lost a lot of business and hung himself. And I love how simple and creepy that is, almost implying that he did something to that mom and girl as well, and all the demon and cultist shit. I like how they don't over explain it, but they hint at it, they kind of touch on it a little bit, and it gives a lot of depth to the hotel itself. I didn't think I had ever heard of this movie until I started watching it and started seeing the clown scene and that mask. I'm like, okay, I've seen pictures or images from this movie, so it was surprising to me that we got one of the creepiest clown scenes very early on, when Paul is kind of walking through the hotel, just testing some things out, and then he sees that clown that's in the basement, that iconic clown mask, and thinks it's just one of his friends. The clown looks back and stares at him, but then he realizes the friend who he thinks is in the costume is on the other side of the hotel, so he freaks out, goes back there, and then the clown is gone and missing, and he goes down to the basement and it's just sitting there like it was never moving. So creepy, unsettling shit like that, where it's not your cheap just jump scares, but really just unsettling scenarios that our characters are put through. Another one is that cool strobe light scene when they're testing out the strobe lights in the hallway, and we see the clown, or I think it may be another demonic figure, kind of getting closer and closer until our character runs out of there. So creepy things like that, utilizing what a haunted house experience kind of feels like, but in this case there's literal demons in it. I also love the second clown scene you get with Paul seeing it at the bottom of the stairs after he wakes up with a couple other of his friends from the Hell House squad here. And his friend Mac goes down there with him, sees Sarah sleepwalking in the corner of one of the bottom floors there, mumbling and talking in Spanish, which is so creepy. And you get one of my favorite scenes when they're kind of running away after they get Sarah, where the demons or the entity in this hotel changed the layout of the hotel to make it look like what it looked like when the hotel owner hung himself. And we get some pictures and scenes of that early on, showing the crime scenes of the actual hanging. And occasionally the hotel will kind of rearrange itself and represent that scene again. So I love that type of stuff where it kind of, again, makes the hotel almost this living, breathing character, and reminded me some things in The Shining as well, where the hotel, the structure just kind of has a presence to it as well, which is awesome. But I think one of my favorite scenes and favorite scare scenes is when our douchebag Paul gets taken out of the movie. Such an asshole. And he's sleeping in his room, randomly wakes up. He turns his camera on, and then we just see a demonic girl just sitting by his doorway, and Paul doesn't notice at first. And then, you know, he turns around, sees her, freaks out, like puts the covers over his face like a like a little kid, like really scared, and he like raises them off. And then she gets a little bit closer, keeps doing that a couple times. And then the last time he does it, the girl gets closer and closer and finally takes him out, but not in a cheap jump scare way, just where the demon's almost kind of like fucking with him a little bit and just wanting to keep scaring him. So I thought that was an awesome and effective scene. Plenty of effective scenes like that really stood out to me and stuck with me after I was done watching it. But yeah, let's jump into my mix section for the movie Hell House. I do really enjoy the character of Sarah. She's our female character in the Hell House squad here, and she has an interesting thing where this is technically a documentary just spliced in with the found footage there, and these documentarians are interviewing Sarah as she kind of reached out to them, brought all this footage with her, and we see her kind of spliced throughout the movie. However, at the end, it's revealed that she is a ghost. She died in the opening night of Hell House, and it kind of shows how that happened later on. And you get a cool scene at the end with the documentary people going back to the hotel and seeing Sarah just like creepily sit in the room that she said she was staying at, which is really just the room in the Abaddon Hotel. But it's in my mixed because they do things so well, but the movie doesn't hide very well that something's off and that Sarah's probably dead and that they're talking to a ghost. Like, I saw that twist coming very early on. She's an original member of Hell House, and they tell us she randomly reached out to these people filming this documentary, willing to do an interview, and shows up with all this evidence that the police should have. And like I said, I enjoy the revelation that we get with Sarah and think that's a creepy scene. Just, it's obvious that this is an either bullshit plot that she'd show up with all this evidence, or I'm like, okay, she's a ghost and doing it, because the police would have been all over her and all over that. There was no reason she'd be alive holding on to all this fucking evidence. So I saw where it's going, but I think it's still a little bit effective here. And I think found footage movies can do something kind of interesting, or at least get away with something where they don't need these grand character arcs or character explorations, or even necessarily a lot of likable characters, because we're seeing something that's supposed to be real, lost, and now found footage. However, I think in this movie, it really would have benefited the group to have at least 1 to 2 really likable characters. But a lot of these characters characters just aren't the best people or feel all that likable or have such an interesting personality, where a lot of the movie they're just kind of fighting with each other. They don't seem like they're that good of friends or have that good of a relationship. So I think it would have just brought a little bit more energy to really have some interesting characters, or at least ones with more significant personality. And I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity with this movie, where I think it would have been more effective if they built up this group dynamic a little bit better and showed that these are friends that have been doing this for years. I think it would have made the plot line of them going bankrupt and relying on this year's haunted house to really make up the money that they desperately need. Because I don't really buy all the characters sticking through this and sticking together throughout all the creepy shit going on. Especially that one guy, Tony, who reflects in the grass in this sunset, which is a weird scene to film. Like I said, kind of bullshit that they're still filming that, but whatever. I think that would have hit harder if they built up their friendships a little bit more, because when I see that scene, I'm like, dude, just like leave. It doesn't even seem like you really like these people. So I think it was just a bit of a missed opportunity there. And not that this has such a big impact on the story or the horror side of this movie. Just I think the haunted house in this movie is kind of fucking lame and definitely limited on probably what this movie's budget was. The story and creepy shit going on before is incredible. I really did enjoy that aspect. But the haunted house that they're creating and show on opening night is really lame and boring. I'm like, yeah, no shit, they're going bankrupt. This kind of sucks. Their final act closer for this haunted house is a half-naked girl chained up just screaming in the basement and a bunch of clowns just sitting on the floor. I'm like, dude, if I paid $20 to $30 to go and that was the ending climax to your house, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? What is this? I see creepier shit when I'm walking through Spirit Halloween. And staying with my mix, so those were more just standard mixed aspects. I think this one specifically is mixed, but mixed negative for me, where I don't think the ending and the specific revelation of what happened on opening night, specifically in the basement, is bad or anything. Just unfortunately, it is the least scariest part of the movie, and it just kind of feels a little disappointing with how much they really built up what happened on opening night, specifically at the end in the basement. The basement scene could have benefited from an additional twist or extra revelation or just something really graphic and scary, but it just kind of plays out very straightforward that the demons decided to kill them, hang one like the hotel owner, and that was the creepy shit. Like the demons finally just came out and was like, okay, let's kill these people that are invading our hotel. So it's a little disappointing where they built it up like I thought something really big was going to happen, but I'm like, oh yeah, the demons, yeah, like I figured that would happen. I just thought there'd be a little bit more, if that makes sense. And again, the ending has some interesting things, specifically that we get to see a possessed Paul kill Sarah, and she's been dead the whole time. Like we said, it's pretty obvious, but still seeing that is pretty effective and creepy. And then jumps to another creepy scene of Paul brutally killing himself. So again, just mixed with this, because there are some great things, there are some very disappointing things, and it just kind of plays out very straightforward, where I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity to not really fully pay off what they really built up and set up. But let's jump into my negatives, or the things that I just did not like about this movie. And honestly, I'm very happy to say I've seen this movie twice now, and I really don't have specific negatives, at least for me here. I think the one negative that sticks out with me is again, kind of jumping on that I don't really buy these characters sticking together because they just don't seem that good of friends, is I hate how all the characters just sleep in the hotel, casually sit on all the furniture in the hotel. This hotel was condemned and shut down and abandoned years ago. I could never imagine sleeping there or having a mattress in there, which I don't even know how they got, because they all piled in one car. I didn't see them bring in a mattress. So did y'all go buy that mattress, or was that just a mattress that you found there? Like, I just don't buy all the characters sleeping there, I guess, which in and of itself is not a big negative, just something that kind of stuck out with me. But I really do enjoy this movie. I'm sure there's other negatives or nitpicks you could really point out, but to me, this is an effective, scary horror movie that I really, really did enjoy. Because overall, this is one of those horror movies that I'm happy I kind of stumbled upon, because it's one that creeped me out and stayed with me after I watched it. It's an interesting movie that also gave me kind of a new love and appreciation for what found footage can really do. So for my rating for this movie, as I have it, is this is a movie that I'd want to buy and own a physical copy for, but I'd be more inclined to do it if I could find it at a discount, which of course now, I don't even know if they make physical copies of this movie, but I'm sure it won't be at a full price because it came out a while ago. But I'd definitely love to add it to my collection because it's one I could see popping in every once in a while, especially around that Halloween time when I kind of want to get that haunted house experience, but at home. You guys have my thoughts on Hell House LLC. Please let me know down below what you think of this movie. Like I said, we're going to be covering the entire franchise, so look out for those videos very soon. But what do you guys think of this movie? Do you like it as much as I do? Are you on the complete opposite end as I am and really don't like it? What's your opinion on found footage? Are you looking forward to the new Hell House movie we have coming out pretty soon here? Let me know all that information down below. But I appreciate anybody watching my videos. It means a lot to me, so thank you so much. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.